Welcome back. Happy Friday. Today I share with you 3 big mistakes that I've made on my journey to reclaim my sensuality. I want you to know everything that I've done wrong and everything I see other people doing wrong so that you don't make those mistakes and you feel so empowered and so liberated in your sensuality. Reclaiming my sensuality, though, little disclaimer, has been one of the most powerful, empowering tool or empowering journey that I've been on. It helped me to reconnect with who I am and who I want to be. It helped me to redefine what being a woman is for me. And it also helped me to own my power, my softness, my sensitivity. I'm extremely sensitive to a lot of things, emotionally, but also physically, which is why I love sensuality so much. I'm a very sensual being. I think I've always been, but because of shame and conditioning and the society and everything, I wanted to be taken seriously and I wanted to also be a badass big boss kind of person. So I got confused and I thought sensuality was wrong and bad and shameful. I'm not even telling you about sexuality, right? Just being sensual. Because of my environment growing up, no one really showed me what it could look like for me and never showed me that I could be empowered in my sensuality. But here I am today teaching other women how to reclaim their sensuality, to really tap into the power of their bodies, of their deep feeling. They're deep feeling women, right? The women in my circles, in my community, it's people who feel everything so deep. Their emotions, but also a smell, a touch, a breathe. They can be in awe of nature. They also want to be ravished by life, by God, by the universe. They also want to experience themselves in a very soft, gentle, heart-led way. So this journey has been the most amazing, empowering journey of my life. But I've made a few mistakes and I want to share that with you today. Mistake number 1 is thinking that it had to look a certain way. And yeah, you're going to tell me, duh, Lika, of course, now everyone is talking about it. We know that it's very personal and we don't have to perform sensuality, but it's not really what I mean. What I mean here is thinking for myself that it had to look a certain way, that my sensuality was expressed only when I felt like a goddess. And let me tell you something. When I lived in Mexico, in a warm, beautiful environment with turquoise water every morning, when I could be in rituals all day, when I was dressing up the way I wanted, when the weather was supporting and the people and the environment, it was easier to be in my sensuality. But then moving back to France, a more conservative kind of mindset, the weather is different, the people are different, I cannot dress the same. When I say I cannot, I could. But guys, mind you, I've been not blacklisted, but the security at the grocery store stopped me from entering the store to get my fucking groceries because I was not dressed appropriately, right? And nothing fancy, like this is fancier than how I went. I went with yoga wear. So anyway, that's just to say a little bit the vibe here. When in Mexico, you can literally go to the gym in a bikini, right? Very, very, very different. And because I thought that I could only be sensual when I dress up, when I feel like a goddess, when I wear my favorite outfit, when I have the red lipstick, when I have my hair done, and when I'm like so deep in meditation and so present to life. Every time that I wasn't in that state, especially coming back to France, getting pregnant, being postpartum, like this is not the moment in my life where I felt the most sensual goddess. But this is the moment that I probably needed the most my sensuality. And it took me a long time to realize that it didn't have to look a certain way. That I could also feel sensual when I was wearing my baggy clothes and my sweatpants, being a potato sack on the sofa. And yes, I can still tap into my sensuality. This is what I share in my program that is coming out very soon, Femme Sensuelle, where I teach you to feel sensual in a way that feels unique to you and that don't depend on those external things of dressing beautifully and feeling like a goddess and wearing the red lipstick or the lace lingerie. It has nothing to do with that. I literally feel sensual now, even in the worst possible condition when I'm not not wearing any makeup, my hair like this, and I'm a fucking mess, basically. And sometimes it just takes a few seconds, a few minutes for me to tap back into the energy of sensuality and to use it to reawaken my feminine power inside. And I think realizing it way too late was one of the mistakes, because if you remove that, you can be sensual a lot more. And sensuality means being more present to life. And so when you're more present to life and to yourself, and you honor your feminine traits, life becomes a lot more enjoyable, pleasurable, and you have more access to your power. It's not this forceful, fiery power. It's a more subtle, almost this underlying power in which you can soar everything, and how you can learn to open your heart bigger and have deeper conversations and deeper connections with people around you, with the world around you, where you feel just more yourself. That's what I found out for myself, at least. So mistake number one is thinking that it had to look a certain way, when actually I can look sensual in any state possible. I just have to tap into that sensual energy running through me and through my body. That never really goes away. It's always accessible to me if I dare to take a moment to plug back in. Mistake number two is kind of connected to, because it's thinking that I needed 5 hours ritual in the morning to feel sensual and to connect to my sensual goddess. Let me tell you, again, postpartum, having a baby, trying to run a business, trying to tidy the house, keep my relationship alive, keep my mental health alive. I have to be on all fronts. It's a lot. It's stressful. It's a lot of pressure. I don't have my 5 hours of rituals when I was feeling like a priestess every day, because life has changed. The circumstances in my life has changed. I cannot have those 5 hours anymore. I'm lucky enough to have, I don't know how many minutes we're gonna have together to record this podcast while my baby is sleeping in her room. I'm living a different life now. And even though it was so much fun to be able to tend to my priestess and to be in my priestess cave, and when I say 5 hours, I'm not just exaggerating. I was literally having a 5 hours morning ritual. I was waking up very early, didn't need as much sleep as I need now. I'm almost 7 months postpartum. My body is still tired, so I'm needing a lot of recovery, a lot of sleep, and I'm blessed, really blessed to have a baby that sleeps well throughout the night. So very blessed for that. But I need more sleep now, and I also have a billion things to take care of. And I don't want this to be an excuse for not feeling sensual, because again, for quite an extended period of time, when I was pregnant and too tired and too exhausted, didn't have a lot of space, when I also moved in the house that we share now with my partner, the workload became a lot bigger in terms of taking care of an entire house and being a little housewife basically, but also running a business, trying to take care of myself. It was just a lot. I got overwhelmed a lot. In that instance, I just want to go on a little tangent here. I had a conversation with a friend recently, and she was telling me how her rhythm and her pace is very slow and different from people around her, and that can be a trigger for roommates or just people in her life. And I felt the same, and I felt wrong for needing more rest and feeling like I had to justify and to explain why, and to always prove, to always prove that I was deserving of the rest, and to always justify it and explain it and even hide it. Even talking about that still feels very vulnerable. I have this tension in my stomach right now. But I know that women in my community, they will know what I'm talking about. I feel like the way society is built, especially here in Europe, as of right now in my life, what I can observe is that we value hard work. We value work above anything else, above pleasure, above family, above love. It's how much money you can make, what kind of job you have, what are your ambitions. We also shame very ambitious and successful people. So it's like, work hard, but don't be too big. Don't allow yourself to shine too bright. It's like kind of stay mediocre, but also work hard. And it's very surface level. It's not really deep here. And I'm suffering a lot from this because when I travel to Asia, for example, or even in Mexico, that was a different rhythm, a different pace of life. There were other values. You had time to have a family dinner or a friend's dinner or go to the beach and watch the sunset. That's something that people valued. Here, it's very rare. You have the weekends family dinner, but everything is very structured and very conventional in that way. And you can be judged so much if you don't follow that pace. And if you're not strong enough, if you're not being able to keep up. But I profoundly believe that especially us women, our biology is not meant to be forcing, pushing, and doing so much. And I recognize that we have seasons in our lives. We have seasons. Right now, it's a season for me that I know I have to be busy. I don't have to, I get to, but I'm tending to a baby that I have full time. I'm a full-time mom. I don't have a nanny. I'm also rebuilding all the foundations of my company, of my business. So I'm investing a lot of time and energy into that. I also have a house to take care of. I also don't want to let my relationship perish. I don't want to let my mental health perish, and I don't want my physical health to perish as well. But it's a lot because I also need more rest. I'm still in postpartum and it's a lot, but I know it's a season. I know I cannot function like this my entire life. And it's not as painful right now. It's dense and it's like intense, but it's not as painful because I recognize that it's a cycle, it's a season, and I will have a more restful season. The thing is, what I observe right now in society in general, around me, in Europe, in France, here right now, for me, my personal experience, is that because people value just the work, like the work for the sake of working, not even to create something meaningful, not even to create something to improve people's life. It's just like, you gotta go to work, you gotta bring in an income, and that's it. And I feel like living life this way is very sad. And everyone is waiting for the weekend to maybe go to a restaurant, maybe have a drink with some friends, family members, or do something a bit nicer on the weekend. And then they wait the whole year for their vacation, and then they wait until retirement. And when I think about this life, I get so depressed. And that's where I circle back to sensuality, realizing that even in this busy season of my life, I realized that sensuality has to take up some space. And so the way I do it now is pockets of times, smaller rituals, smaller moments, but deeper presence. What I mean by that, I take my shower. We all take our shower every day, hopefully for you. You can do it in an essential way instead of doing it in a very automatic, big in your head kind of way, right? You touch yourself, you smell all the products in your shower, you feel the drip of water dripping, you feel the water dripping on your skin. You are so present to the moment. You are in prayer, in reverence, in gratitude. It's the same shower, the same amount of time. If you spend 5 minutes in the shower, you spend the same 5 minutes. But your level of presence, your level of depth when you are in the moment, connecting with all your senses and all the pleasurable things that you can experience when you take a shower, can you believe that we have access to this warm, clean water to wash our bodies? This is one of my favorite moments of the day, is the 5 minutes shower. And you can even put music, you can have a certain lighting in your room without having it to be this huge extended ritual. But to circle back again and really, full circle for a reason, the way I see it in society today, people are so disconnected from God, from spirituality, from any form of depth, therefore from their sensuality. All you see is copy-pasted versions of people. They all dress the same. That's the reason why I get flagged at the supermarket, because I'm wearing like this pink, bright outfit, slightly showing a little bit of skin, but not even that much. Suddenly it's shocking to their system. Okay, fair enough. I live in a quite small city. I'm sure it's a bit more extravagant in the big cities. You can see a lot more diversity in terms of how you live, but to have traveled even in my own country, I have never really found a place where people honor and respect and see it as something luxurious and something valuable. The only places that maybe eventually you can allow some pleasure, then you have to be a fucking hippie and don't take any shower, and live in the dirt and, wear a tie and dye shirt and have dreadlocks. You want to live in the street and you refuse all the luxuries of life and you don't want to make money. There is no place in between where we value beauty and sensuality and the pleasures of life. And that makes me really, really sad, but that's also why I do the work that I do, showing people that you don't need to be a priestess in your cave in a society that is broken, and then you have this 5 hours ritual on your own. I guess I could allow and afford to have that because that was my full-time job too. Like being here with you, helping women to tap into their sensuality, to recognize the priestess they have inside them, to liberate themselves from all the layers that society is trying to put on us to control our sexuality, our sensuality, how good or bad we feel in our bodies, and developing this mindset, etc. Like that has been my work. So in order to hold the kind of spaces that I hold, I had to be 5 hours in rituals because that's my full-time job. So then I can help other women where it's not their full-time jobs to get the same results faster because I can hold that kind of space, right? So there is also a reason why I was spending that much time in prayer, in rituals, connecting with my yoni, connecting with God, doing all the different, rite of passage as well. When I say priestess, I know it's a term that has been used a lot in feminine embodiment that has kind of lost its meaning, but I mean it in also kind of a, of course, superficial way, but also a deeper way. The priestess is the one who's been initiated into being a priestess. So with that being said, now I can still reclaim my sensuality, tap into that energy, feel more feminine, tap and call in and bring up more feminine flow in my life without having to spend 5 hours because I don't have 5 hours anymore. The way I do it, as I said, is through small intentional rituals with a level of presence and depth that is much deeper. So it's also really taking care of my energy and my nervous system throughout the day. And finally, third point is not realizing sooner that not everyone deserves my sensuality. And I'm not just talking about the people you invite intimately within yourself. Just realizing that when I'm the most tapped into my sensuality, I'm also very vulnerable in a beautiful way, in a fully cracked, open kind of way. I'm connected to something sacred, something intentional, something profound. I'm connected to all of my feminine force. And if you know a little bit about our story, the witch hunt, stuff like this, you know that women have been repressed a lot when they're tapped into their medicine, into that kind of energy that makes them extremely intuitive, that makes them connecting with nature, plants, intuition, lead with the heart, and be connected to their sexual powers, stuff like this. We've been killed for that, right? Chased, killed, destroyed, burned for this. So we have a collective memory of that running in ourselves. It's subtle sometimes it's not subtle. Sometimes it's like you don't understand why it's so hard for you to express yourself, to use your voice, to rest. Even to rest is not just a nervous system society kind of thing. Yes, that plays a role. We have different layers. This is also what we cover in the first part of Femme Sensuelle, to really understand the whole context and the whole background. But basically we have this ancient layer. And it's not just, oh, that's part of history. That's also part of DNA remembrance in your system that has been passed down in generations and generations. We feel that also collectively, especially as women. We're very sentient, sensible, receptive beings. So if someone has gone through an experience, we feel it. So we feel our own lineage consciously or unconsciously. Most women, it's unconscious. We need to go and do this work to bring it up to your consciousness and to your awareness. Because of this conditioning, and then we have another layer, which is the society of today, right? And then we have another layer, which is your personal history, your story, what happened to you in your life when you felt connected to your sensuality, what you heard people in your life saying about sensuality. Again, we cover all of this in part 1 of Femme Sensuelle. It's very profound to do this work. And I invite you, even if you don't join the program, to do that work for yourself if you're interested in even unraveling and removing layers so that you can step even deeper, even more powerfully in your sensuality. But when you understand this context, you understand how vulnerable that can be to be in the expression of that, without even mentioning how we live in a culture where we still hear things like, oh, she deserved to be raped because of the way she was dressed or the way she behaved. Like, she deserved it. I mean, come on. Like, we live that kind of society that still think stuff like this. It's shocking to me. So of course, we all live in that kind of control, fear, needing to shrink, needed to be smaller, needed to not take up so much space. And the worst possible thing that can happen is being called a slut. So everything that is sort of connected to the sexual energy. I'm going to do another very important tangent here. A lot of people are putting a lot of effort telling you that sensuality has nothing to do with sexuality. And as though I agree, because I get what they mean, let's stop pretending, right? Let's stop pretending. The sexual energy is the life force energy that created you, me, and everything that exists here. This is one of the most creative, powerful energy that exists. And because we have such a distorted relationship with sex that is so fucked up in our society, let's call a cat a cat. It's so fucked up. It's so stupid. It's so distorted. It's so disgusting. I'm disgusted by how people view sex in our society. Most people, again. And we're here to work and create a different space, a more beautiful space. But when people are spending so much effort, because sexuality is so taboo, to be like, no, but sensuality is so different. It has nothing to do with sex. It has nothing to do with sexual energy. I do agree. Sensuality is being connected to life, having a deeper presence to everything. It's about feeling fully in your body. Sure, this is also being connected to that life force energy, sexual energy that runs through you. So yes, it's not necessarily connected to the bedroom, to intercourse, to having sex, practicing the activity of sex and being in pleasure, but it is connected to the sexual energy. So in this whole context, you don't want to be a slut. This is the worst possible thing you could be called in our society. This is also why in Femme Sensuelle I have a whole section on reclaiming your sacred slut. And another tangent, another parenthesis, is that the sacred slut could be a celibate slut, or a monogamous long-term relationship kind of slut, or a one-night stand kind of slut. The slut can be all of what she wants. She owns her sexuality, she owns her sensuality fully, and she does whatever the fuck she wants. I got a bit too excited. Lost the mic. Let me see. All right. Okay. Realizing that not everyone deserves my sensuality is around this topic. When you are deeply in your sensuality, which for me, right, means feeling so present. And there is a posture, there is an energy, there is a quality of life. It's very subtle. It's hard to describe with words because it's such a body experience. It's suddenly I can hear more things, and the sounds that penetrate my ears are so delicious. And I can feel on my skin everything with so much more electricity and pleasure and presence. And it's the textures that I can touch and see and feel. It's feeling the wind in my hair. It's when I listen to music and I really let the sound move me, and it's like I'm making love to life, and I'm so turned on by life. What does that even mean, to be turned on by life? It's you're so present to it. You're breathing it with every cell of your body. You're vibrating it. You're not just living life and going to work and trying to prove yourself. You're experiencing each moment with so much reverence and gratitude and a sort of bodily prayer. Right? It's a prayer with your body, a prayer with your presence. You're so present to life that everything becomes a bit more magical. Even the pain, even the hard days, because you're so present to yourself. And when you're tapped into that energy, you suddenly realize this is extremely powerful for me. And this is extremely powerful for my feminine energy, for me stepping into all the qualities of the feminine, for me to realize who I am as a woman. And it's not for everyone. Not everyone deserves that. And because we've been taught to be good girls, and we've been taught to always tell everything to everyone and be transparent and be authentic and all that we value now in society, we think that we owe this part of us to just everyone. It's not the case. What is sacred gets to be secret. It gets to be protected. So you can be sensual out in the world for sure, and I invite you to do that because we want to see more of that. And of course we want to inspire others to be like, it's okay, look at me, I'm enjoying life, I'm being turned on by life, I'm connected to my feminine energy instead of being a bro and trying to act like a man and compete with men and be such a feminist that I forgot that I don't even have a dick. So many women today, they're trying to compete with men and be like, look at mine, I have the biggest dick. The biggest dick. That's what I cannot even talk when I get so passionate like this. But I'm getting frustrated because I see those women that are so powerful. They have so much brilliance. They have such a big heart. And because of how we've been conditioned, they don't dare to let all of that beauty out. And I'm one of those women. I'm one of those. That's why I'm allowing myself to criticize it, because I've been that woman, and sometimes I even fall back to being that woman. When I get rigid and hard and I step into the strong, independent woman, like I can do everything myself, and I want to prove that I have the biggest dick in the room and that I don't need anyone. Or I'm so afraid to be a woman. I'm so afraid to be vulnerable. I'm so afraid to be soft because I haven't been modeled that in my life by the women in my life, in my circles, in my communities. I never seen it. So I think there is something wrong if I'm not saying, oh, I've been working so hard. I want to make shitloads of money. I want to, and then making those bro jokes energy. No, I want to be out smelling my roses. I want to be listening to music and being in pleasure. I want to rest. I want to pleasure myself. I want to be a woman. And I think redefining what it means for us to be a woman is extremely important on this path. But my intention with this third mistake that I made, which is not everyone deserves that, because you are in your pleasure, in your magic, in your priestess energy. You are in all the beauty that the feminine has to offer. You're more receptive, and therefore you're giving back a lot more. You are in devotion to yourself, to life, to others, to God. You are turned on, and this turn on version of you, not everyone deserves it. Not everyone deserves your softness. Not everyone deserves to have access to the most beautiful parts of you. It doesn't mean you have to shut them down. This is my point here. I see so many beautiful women turning off, becoming rigid, building this wall around them. And I know it because I've been there. I was such an extremely sensual person when I was younger. When I didn't realize it was a problem yet, I was feeling everything. I was so open to everyone. I was always believing in the best in every human being. So I had something very magnetic to me. And then I got slut shamed at a huge scale, and it made me shrink. I kind of purposefully, on purpose, gained a lot of weight so that I had this extra fat to hide behind. My posture, my physical posture started to change. Since then, I'm struggling with my posture. I'm a lot clenched. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about because I see so many of us. I see all those beautiful women when I'm walking in the street, all this potential that is not activated because they're all dark, like they're all lit off. How do you say lit up? The opposite of that. Their light is so shrinked, so dimmed, so small. And it really pains me to see that because I see myself in every single woman that I come across, and I see them so small, trying to fit in, not liberated. I see it in the way they dress. They don't dress for themselves. That's also why I have a whole section on clothing and adornments and how to reclaim your sensuality in that way. And again, it doesn't have to look any specific way, but there is a way we can connect to our clothing to reignite the sensuality. I see all those women in jeans wearing like those very restrictive way of dressing. And again, they're a copy paste of each other. And I don't see their beauty, their radiance, their magnetism. That pains me a lot. But I know what it's like because I shrank myself. I started to become a hippie and to wear the spiritual baggy clothes because I thought if people would see me being spiritual, they would take me more seriously and they won't see me as superficial. And I also saw through the slut shaming just how me being in my power, me being in my sexual expression, me being just free, liberated, and feeling really good in my skin. At the time I felt super sexy in my skin, wearing the dresses that I wanted. I was just allowing myself to look very pretty and to take up space, and that triggered so many women, and the women were the worst. The sisterhood wound runs so deep, and I was so innocent in it. It took me years to realize what actually happened and why those women were so mean to me. To me, that was so innocent. To me, I'm still having this very childlike energy inside of me where I dream that we all dress the way we want and we dress super hot and sexy in a way that feels good and not a copy paste of each other. Like what feels sexy to me changes every day. And what is sexy to me might feel not sexy at all for you on your body type. But I want to see every woman dressing like, I wish I could just dress up. That's something that I kind of liked in India. It's obviously a weird topic because not everywhere, but I loved to see the saris in India because they're so colorful, and just seeing so much colors in the streets compared to here where everything is gray and everyone is wearing jeans and black and gray and that's it. There's not a lot of colors. It made me feel so sad. And seeing it in India, where also when you see that they get ready, I had those scenes where women were getting ready and they were like pampering each other. They were like doing each other's hair and putting jewelries on each other and doing each other's makeup. And I have chills just thinking about that. It's so beautiful to me. I wish we could create more of that. This is my vision for the work that I do. And when I see so much potential that is not fully utilized or awakened or turned on, it makes me sad. Really makes me sad. So in my own personal story, I changed the way I dressed, gained on a lot of weight, which at the time felt like a lot, but now pregnancy speaking, it was not a lot of weight. And I've seen my posture. I started to completely clench myself. I wanted to feel so small. I wanted to disappear. I didn't want people to notice me anymore because I was shamed for being free, for being able to take up space, and for being sensual. But I remember early on, the very few memories that I have as a very young child, I was so connected to my sensuality and I felt like everything was so special. And I feel like kids are like that. They are more present to life. They can be so absorbed in taking a flower and looking at it and smelling it and touching it for hours. We lost that. So sensuality is also reconnecting to that. But you can see how when you are in that type of energy, you're also more vulnerable. You're more vulnerable to criticism, to shaming, to why are you not doing something productive for society, right? Because sensuality is not intrinsically productive. You can, of course, use your sensuality to be more productive in your work. That's a whole other topic. And this is something that I'm so passionate about. But you're not creating actively, you're not working, you're not doing something of value for society. In the eyes of the broken patriarchal society we live in, not in my eyes. If you're in your pleasure, you're cultivating energy, you're praying, you're in devotion, you're doing something extremely valuable for the community. It's invisible, maybe, but it's felt. When a woman is turned on and in her sensuality, you feel her, you see her. You have examples of that, I'm sure. Of this girl, no matter what she wears, she can be dressed like, I don't know, but she exudes this sex appeal, this confidence, this radiance. She's not even trying. She's not trying. That's the crazy part. And everything she does is so cute. And you're trying to replicate with the same oversized t-shirt, the same everything. Everything she does, the way she moves into the world is so attractive, so magnetic. Everyone now is using the term magnetic. What does that mean? You're magnetized by her. You want to be in her field. You want to receive from her. You want to give her. You just want to be around her because her energy is attractive. She's attractive. She's magnetic. Everything comes to her without her having to force, push, or work hard. So this is a reminder that sensuality is important, first off, but also that you can be in your magnetism, you can be in your power without shutting it down and still having boundaries. And this is where you build the big fat fence. This is a technology I use with my clients. You build the big fat fence to protect your garden. The garden is your most beautiful flowers. I mentioned it in a podcast episode recently. The garden is your most magnificent flowers. It's all your magnetism, your beauty, your radiance, your feminine flow, everything that makes you so juicy, so beautiful, and so sexy. What we tend to do if we're ashamed or if society is not equipped or whatever, we destroy the garden, right? We destroy the garden. We turn off the garden. We don't nourish the flowers anymore. We change the way we dress. We put on weight to escape. We change the way the posture, everything I talked about before. We shut down the fucking garden with all the beautiful exotic flowers and fruits when we could instead build a big fat fence that protects the garden. So your flowers are flashing their colors and flavors and smells and beauty out in the world, right? But you are not shrinking. You are not closing down the garden. The garden stays beautiful. Just not everyone has access to the garden. Actually, a very handful of people have access to the garden. Your most trusted people have access to the garden. This is important. This is how you understand that your sensuality is not for everyone. They don't deserve your softness, your beauty, your radiance, your heart, your pleasure. But instead of what I see everywhere, every woman that I come across, most of them, they turn it off. And when you see a very radiant, beautiful, sensual woman, you can sense her boundaries. Not everyone has access to her. You cannot be entirely, fully magnetic if you have weak boundaries, if you didn't build that big fat fence. And it's not just saying no when you mean no. This is like beginner level of boundaries. Having boundaries is staying in your power, staying in your kindness, staying in yourself, but knowing that, hey, if you don't respect my flowers, you don't have access to me. And I can express it and voice it in a way that is neutral. No resentment. You don't need to be mean. You don't need to think you're better than and be like, I'm a goddess and you don't get to sit at my table. Fuck that. I think I don't even need to comment more on that. I'm so tired of this entitlement that little girls have. They pretend to be feminine women, but then they're so fucking entitled. And those same women are searching for love and begging for their husband to show up, but they don't show respect to men. That's a whole other podcast episode for sure. I'm not really getting into that, but come on, we can do better. We can do better. With this entitlement of like, I'm such a goddess, you don't get to sit at my table. And if you get to sit at my table, there is a fee because I'm the best and I'm better than you. Is it powerful? I don't know. I don't think so. Is it real magnetism? Is it real power? Is it real queen energy? The queen is of service of her community. It doesn't mean like she's taken from all the time. But this energy of entitlement, it's not serving. It's not serving your femininity. It's not serving your dream of getting the man of your dream. If you don't have respect for men, you're not. It's not serving your friendships. Because who do you think you are? We're all humans. I was talking about the priestess before, and that's why I also say it in a superficial way. We are not just the priestesses. We're also very dark, very human, very basic sometimes. It's the full spectrum. And sensuality is this for me. It's not just the goddess vibe, and this is where all the three mistakes fall into one big one. Sensuality is this. It's being entirely human. You signed up for the whole full spectrum of being human, being a woman in this world. Enjoy it. So yes, I want to see a world where we play, we dress up, we get the makeup, we get the nice song and we feel sexy and turned on and we eat the fruits and we make love to life and the forest and the food and everything and we feel so turned on, but it also gets fucking real. We get sad. I was crying the whole fucking day yesterday in agony. I look like a fucking raccoon and raccoons are cuter than what I actually looked yesterday. It's fine. It's part of being a priestess. It's part of sensuality as well. Because if you cannot feel the pain, you won't be able to feel the pleasure. You must be willing to go there. And that's a pep talk to myself, really. Because I've been every woman that I criticize, quote unquote, criticize in this podcast. I've been her. I've been all of her. And it's because I led myself through it that I can lead other women through it. And this is what I do in Femme Sensuelle. This is the program that covers it all. It allows you to be the depth spiritual priestess that you are in a very embodied, real human experience. It allows you to have the deep rituals and reconnection with your orgasmic power, your sensuality, your sexuality, your yoni, your feminine cycle, to cover all of this powerful stuff while being a busy ass woman that have no time for this, right? It's the full spectrum of embodying both feminine and masculine qualities, to embrace every single facets of you, because that's when you finally unlock the next level. So when you don't reject anything about yourself. And it takes work. It's a lifetime work. It's not something that you do once and you have it and you think that it's it. And it's not, because it's gone. The next moment something happened to you, it's gone. So that's it for today's episode. Let me know if you enjoy it. Also, if you have any requests for the podcast, anything you would like me to talk about, to teach on, whatever you need support on, I'm here for you. So don't hesitate to ask. Have a lovely week, and I talk to you next Friday.